Shalom, family, and welcome to Just a Word. This is Kazak Eliyahu, and today should be here for a short video. This is something that I take great pleasure in. It is just based on one verse, and it is something that I have been telling people to whom I speak over time, and people just don't understand what I am saying. Because when you are teaching people, for example, you're teaching a group of people, there are people who will be there taking notes. Taking notes because they believe taking the notes, then they go back and they study the word and whatever, and that will make them understand more, but that is not so. The word is spiritual. The word is spiritual. Now, a unique thing about the Bible is that the words can be presented to mean different things at different times. So you can use a verse to illustrate A, to illustrate B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way till you exhaust the alphabet. It can be used to illustrate different things. When you are listening, you have to know what it is being used to illustrate. So when you take your notes, you go home, you read it, you are going to come to a different conclusion, which you can come to if you read it otherwise. But you have to understand the chain of thought that the Ruach is leading you into through those verses. So what do you have to do? You have to listen. You have to listen. You have to hear what is being said at the time so that you can get the understanding of what the Ruach is telling you at that time. Now, let me just go to the verse and I'll explain a little bit more. It's on in the book of 2nd Baruch, chapter 50 and verse 1. A very simple verse. The angel was speaking to Baruch, and the angel said this, and he answered and said to me, listen, Baruch, to this word, and write down in the memory of your heart all that you shall learn. Very simple, but very powerful. Listen to the word and write it down in the memory of your heart. What is this now? Listen to the word, this word. So the word that someone is speaking at the time or teaching at the time, listen to that word. Write it down in the memory of your heart, not on paper. Not on paper. In the memory of your heart. Very, very important. In the memory of your heart. Not in the memory that is on paper. Okay? All right. So, all that you shall learn. So what it's saying here, listen and you will learn. Listen and you will learn. It is by listening that you learn, not by writing. Let me tell you something. This writing thing came from man's... we have to understand, we are flesh and we are Ruach. The Most High speaks to us through his Ruach. Learning in the flesh is different from learning in the Ruach. That is why it says the wisdom of the world is what? Foolishness to allure. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Yahuwah has made foolish the wisdom of the wise. So the wisdom of the wise is different from the wisdom of Yahuwah. So Yahuwah gives us his wisdom. Mankind has a different way of approaching his wisdom. To attain, to remember man's wisdom, you have to write it down because it is not spiritual. It is something that is received and it goes straight to your carnal memory. So you have to write it down, you have to study it, you have to do all that. But with the Most High's word, it is spiritual. So it comes to you spiritually. You hear it and you listen and you learn. And this is something that in Matthew 13:10, in Matthew 13:10, the Messiah spoke something similar to the disciples. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of Shamayim, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they, seeing, see not, and hearing, hear not, neither do they understand. This is it. You have to see. Person speaking, you're looking. Or you're looking at the scriptures that he's referring to at the same time that he is speaking. You are seeing. And then you're hearing, you're listening to what he's saying, not writing, listening. So when you're listening, you will hear. And this combination of seeing and hearing will make you do what? Understand. Yes? Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing, see not, hearing, hear not, neither do they understand. Triple combination. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand. And seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. So you're going to go and hear for yourself and see for yourself. Remember, we told you the scriptures can be interpreted in different ways. You have to understand what the Ruach is telling you at that time through that person. All right? And then you will be able to understand and to perceive. And it tells you why. For this people's heart is waxed gross. So many people, when they're here, they're leaning on their own understanding. They will be listening to you as a teacher or to me as a teacher. They'll be leaning on their understanding. Oh, I want to hear what he has to say. I have a different take on that one. So let me write it down and let me go home. And then I will crucify him and do another teaching on it to prove him that he is false. Not understanding that the word does not work through one way. That's why the Bible is so powerful. It is timeless as well as it is manifold in its understanding. Okay? So you have to get the right understanding. You have to get the message that the Ruach is bringing out, precept upon precept, line upon line at that time. Because this, for example, Matthew 13, we have used it in so many teachings, almost every teaching, other teaching, we use this to illustrate something, but it's always something different. So when you go and you write down Matthew 13 now, and you go home and you study it, you have lost what that person was saying. You have lost what we were saying based on it, because you now are going to get your own interpretation from it. What you need to do is listen. And when you listen, you will learn. And when you learn, you'll remember. Many people also think that they have to write it down because they don't have good memory. You can't have worse memory than me. I'm a person, I can't remember anything, but one thing I remember, the scriptures. Why? Because I listen, I look, and I learn. I don't write down anything. I've never written down anything. Years. Write down. The only thing I write down when I get inspiration from a verse, when a verse comes and I see this verse, like chapter 50, verse 1, I said, okay, I have to remember that. And I remembered it. I didn't even write it down. Sometimes I write down the verse. And while I'm writing down the verse, I'm getting more verses are coming on it. And I just write it down and keep it. And then I will make a video on it. But for me to be writing, it's not to learning. If I'm hearing somebody speak, if I'm watching a video, for example, and I don't watch a lot of videos, I don't watch a lot of people because I don't take inspiration from people. Only sometimes I get confirmation. All right? So don't think I'm there going on videos. I watch a lot of Hebrew Israelite videos. Why? Because I know they are a rising force and they are going to rise and they are going to come and I will have to face them. So I keep up to date with what they believe in so that I know what to speak to them about and I know their errors, for etc. So I don't watch a lot of videos. So when I watch the videos, what do? I don't even check the Bible. I just listen and I just look. People, if you want to understand, if you want to learn, listen. Just listen. Okay? And that is why, which book is it? Did it say this? let me get it in Romans 10, verse 17. Let's go. Let's start from verse 16. But they have not all obeyed the good news. For Isaiah said, Yahuwah, who hath believed our report? So then, faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahuwah. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily their sound went into all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the earth. Let's go to verse 17. So then, faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word. All right. So faith cometh by hearing. The word hearing is the Hebrew word akoe. Let me see if I can get it on the screen. Akoe, from hearing, the act, the sense, or the thing heard. The thing heard. So faith cometh from the thing that you hear. Audience, ear, fame, which ye heard. Hearing, preached, report, rumor. It is something that you listen to people. It is something that you hear that brings your emunah. So people, if people are speaking to you, please, preaching to you, teaching you, listen. Don't write. That is for the classroom. That is for man's learning. Man's learning is different from spiritual learning. To learn spiritually, you have to hear. You have to listen. You have to hear. All right? So put down that pen and paper, please. Put down the pen and paper. Stop writing those verses. And you will hear people and you will see people remember verses and such and such. You will see me remembering verses because even when I'm doing this, it's verses that come to mind. I put. A lot of the times you see we're doing teaching verses that just come to mind. Why do they come to mind? Because they are written in the spirit of my mind, written in my heart, written in my inward parts, which is what the New Testament is about, the new covenant. In Matthew 31, Jeremiah 31, there we go again, something that I just remembered. This is what I'm doing it live to illustrate it to you. You don't have to write down anything. Stop it. You are keeping yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice. All right? So in Jeremiah 31:31, he's telling about the new covenant with the house of Yasharal. Verse 33 says, but this shall be the covenant. What is this? But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasharal. After those days, saith Yahuwah, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their Alu, and they shall be my people. How do you write it in their hearts? Let's go back now to Baruch chapter 50, 2nd Baruch 50. Listen to this word and write down in the memory of your heart all that you shall learn. It is listening that makes us write the law in our hearts. And this is something that was written in my heart because I read it nowhere. This again, that shows you how the Ruach operates. I read it nowhere. I never encountered it. It's just something that the Ruach laid on my mind to listen, that it is different from the learning of the world. And the other day, I look, but 2nd Baruch 50 verse 1, bam, I saw it. I said, yes, that was the Ruach that was telling me. And people were there hearing, and some people that I was told, they didn't believe, and they kept doing the same thing, writing the thing, and I'm like, oh boy, poor thing. Because I know and understand when the Most High is speaking to me. All right? So put down that pen and paper. Please, put down pen and paper and listen. Emunah, faith cometh from hearing, and hearing by the word. Listening, hearing. That is how you will perceive. That is how you will understand. That is how you will see and you will hear. All right? So thank you for listening. And please continue to listen to Make It Jaw Radio. We are at jawradio.org. And as you see the videos here, just a word short. These new websites because our websites are down. So check out our new video website, justawordshorts.com. All right. So thank you all and shalom.